Good afternoon and welcome to the final day of the DSP Week virtual event From Praise to Promise. My name is Desiree Lauxbear and I am the COO for the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals. We would like to thank the thousands of you who have participated in this week's events recognizing DSPs during DSP Recognition Week. This is not how we had hoped to gather this week, but we are grateful that we were able to find an opportunity to be able to bring people together to praise and recognize the essential work of the direct support professional workforce. This week's event would not have been possible without some essential partnerships. We would like to thank our friends and colleagues at the Research and Training Center at the University of Minnesota, to include Amy Hewitt, Jerry Smith, Amanda Ryan, and Kristen Dean. Additionally, we would like to thank Seth Petrie from CQL for his patience and his guidance in helping us pull this event together, and Lisa Mount from the New York Alliance for Inclusion and Innovation for helping us host the JFK Junior Award Ceremony, where we recognized our friend and colleague Ann Hardiman. Finally, we would like to thank our National Alliance for Direct Support Professional Board for their ongoing support while we've had to change things up during this year, and their confidence in us to be able to get the job done. Today's award presentation is brought to you by the 5th Annual New England Cerebral Palsy Conference. The New England Cerebral Palsy Conference is hosted by Green Mountain Support Services and is the only conference of its kind in the entire U.S. East Coast. For more information about this October event, please look up cerebralpalsyconference.org. Now, it is my great pleasure to be able to introduce to you my colleagues, John Raphael and Dan Hermrich, as they share a bit of information about today's award winner, Dr. Diane Potts.
Hi, my name is Dan Hermrich. I am the Director of Certification and Accreditation here at the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals. And I'm here to express our gratitude to Dr. Diane Potts. For many years before I was directly employed by NADSP, Dr. Potts and I worked on what was called the Education, Training, and Workforce Development Committee. And for many years, we actually co-chaired it together. I'm a little hesitant to do the math to figure out exactly how many years we did that work together. I know it was very many. But Dr. Potts oversaw the accreditation work of that committee. And what that means is that all these great curricula that are out there that are NADSP accredited, Dr. Potts was diving into the details of that, into the individual lessons, into the content, and making sure that this training that was designed for direct support professionals was consistent with the NADSP's competencies, was consistent with the NADSP Code of Ethics, and really was of the highest quality. So thank you, Diane. Thank you for all the work over many, many years. We so appreciate all your hard work. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, John Raphael.
Thank you, Dan. My name is John Raphael. I'm the Director of Educational Services at the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals. And Dr. Potts, you have worked very closely with me and Dan and with all of our team to create specific curricula. And one of the things I know that, I don't know how you do it, but you're able to follow a person like me around, or when Dan and I are together, you're able to get what we convey in what we're trying to train direct support professionals and frontline supervisors. You're able to get that on paper. You're able to make it into something that it serves as a curricula. And you've done that with basically 4 different topic areas. And for that, not only are we very grateful and thankful, but you've done that with ease, with such commitment and such actually joy. And I have nothing but unbelievable gratitude for having you on our team. And in a way, I think you are kind of like the 5th Beatle. You know, you think of who was the fifth Beatle, Dan? I forget the fifth Beatle's name. Wasn't it Pete Best, right? He was the fifth Beatle. Or George Martin. That's probably more like it, because George Martin was this production guy for the Beatles, right? And he was kind of the fifth Beatle. There's different fifth Beatles. Anyway, Diane, you're more important to us than any Beatle. Thank you very much. Congratulations on your award, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
So thank you, John and Dan, for sharing those great words about Diane and all the wonderful work she's done, and congratulations, Diane. So as we go through today's production, I just want to let you know we are transitioning between some live video and some tapes, so give us patience as we make that transition. We appreciate you staying with us as we do that. And now, as we get ready to transition to Oklahoma, where our friend Dr. Diane Potts is, it is my pleasure to welcome our friend and colleague Pam Richardson, who is the president and CEO of Volunteers of America Oklahoma, who will be helping us today with today's award ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree. It is really a pleasure to be here with you today. On behalf of Joe McBeth and our colleagues at National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals, it is just really such a privilege for us to present the Gratitude Award to Dr. Diane Potts. This is an especially heartwarming opportunity for Volunteers of America, Oklahoma, to partner with the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals, because Dr. Potts has served for over 22 years on our board of directors and is currently serving as our director emeritus. And lest you think she's not active, she has served in many capacities in the past and is still actively involved on our program committee and the board of directors. There are others here joining us today that have also benefited significantly by her service above self and her caring, committed leadership and dedication to the field of direct support professionals. Diane, you so richly deserve this award, and we collectively thank you for your continuous efforts on behalf of those we serve with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And this is from your friends at the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals. And I'm going to read what it says. The NADSP presents this award in recognition and sincere gratitude to Dr. Diane Potts for years of dedication, wisdom, and partnership with the world's community of direct support professionals. Congratulations, Diane.
Show that to my audience before I move on. Well, first of all, I have to say what an honor and what a surprise this is. Kind of like John said, I hadn't thought of myself as a fifth Beatle, but I definitely saw myself as kind of behind the scenes supporting some of the visionaries that are out there leading the way for direct support professionals. When I first heard about it, I thought Joe was going to fire me as a volunteer, and he thought that was kind of funny, but you know, volunteers, the nice thing is that you don't have to do any of this. You get to do it. You're honored to be part of, and it's been such a privilege and a great deal of growth to participate in all of the activities that have come my way as a result of being part of the National Alliance of Direct Support Professionals. You know, there's an adage, when one door closes, another door opens. And that has certainly been my journey in working for the best opportunities for direct support professionals. I started thinking back to how long ago was it that became my mantra and my hope, and that we would build career ladders, that we would recognize training. I've always loved working with individuals with developmental disabilities, but I realized that it was the people who worked alongside them daily and supported them that made that quality of life happen. So it has always been a choice I've made to work towards that. Inspiration comes to mind. I have been so inspired by many, many people who have supported me in my efforts to say the things or to get to the right person to talk. And sometimes those doors closed or they didn't continue, or someone would say, you're just ahead of everyone else. And so, you know, be patient for them to come alongside you. So one of the things that's inspired me this week is all the visionaries that have been represented in the awards that have been presented, in the speakers that have shared their vision for what the future holds for direct support professionals. I too hold those dreams close at heart. I first began in Oklahoma with, I would say, with the DD Council, Developmental Disabilities Council here, and they heard me speaking for 8 years about direct support professionals and eventually said, okay, you're through with your term, go do that. And so they supported that effort. I have to thank Ann Trudgeon for that. Out of that came curriculum and a career ladder idea for Oklahoma. We're still working on it. So some doors have closed, but many other doors have opened. And just when you're ready to give up, someone inspires you. A group of direct support professionals that say, I'll try that pilot curriculum out and see how it is. I'll travel in the state to do that. Or when our curriculum at the college was up for review and we didn't have the numbers, suddenly emerged out of the blue direct support professionals that wanted the certificate of achievement from the college. So always there's been someone saying you're not through yet. And I certainly don't feel through. I'm looking so forward to what the next 10 years hold as we see what the promise is, Joe. I'm looking forward to that. I do believe a career ladder. I do believe training are important for direct support professionals. And I believe a wage that honors the work they do. You are doing work that no one else can do. You know, we could try it, but we might not be able to succeed. You give quality of life every day and you keep showing up. Those are important traits that we cannot thank you enough for. You are so inspiring. You inspire the work I do. You inspire the work of many others you've witnessed this week. So thank you for that inspiration. And thank you, NADSP, for this award.
Thank you, Diane, for all that you have done to make NADSP successful and all of those direct support professionals out there successful as well. It is now my great honor and privilege to get to introduce to you and welcome our final speaker of the week, my longtime friend and longtime mentor and colleague, the CEO and President of the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals, Joe McBeth. Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree, and good afternoon, everybody. On our Friday of Direct Support Professional Recognition Week, and it is my honor to follow up Dr. Potts and send my congratulations to her and for all she's done for this organization and, as we said, the world's direct support professionals. So today, we're going to bring it all together. We're going to wrap it up with a bow. From praise to promise, reflections from a pandemic, and moving forward to a profession. And before we begin, I want to give you a little bit of a warning that there will be a little provocation here today, and I hope that you are ready for that. Since Sunday evening, we have been seeing all kinds of praise, and my goodness, this year more than ever is the time to praise direct support professionals who have been working in the pandemic, on the front lines of the pandemic, and showing who they are and the professionalism that they own and they show every day to people with disabilities. And I think, you know, all of this praise is good. It's warranted, it's necessary. But that's the easy part. Praise is easy. We've got promises to make and we've got promises to keep. And I believe all of these memes that we've pulled from our Facebook page, we've gotten state governor proclamations, we've seen so many genuine expressions of support and love and appreciation. And I really think that that's wonderful. But I also think that we need to go beyond the 7 days of Direct Support Professional Recognition Week and follow up 50 other 1 weeks a year. And in my opinion, and some of my reflections of the pandemic and the direct support professionals who have been front and center, one day working in the community and helping people at work and helping people at play and helping people live as citizens in their communities. I often say that a direct support professional's office is the community. And then one day in March, everything changed and offices closed. And redefine your office and helping people shelter in place and helping people re-establish and redefine daily schedules and activities, and some people who may not be comfortable with that. And one thing I know about direct support professionals is they are resourceful, they are creative, and they will rise to the occasion like they have in every other time that we've asked them to. In times of natural disasters, in hurricanes and superstorms and tornadoes. And for you DSPs who are out west, our thoughts are with you who are working with people who are been affected by the wildfires in Oregon, in California, Washington, and Colorado. But one thing about the pandemic is it takes a once in a century pandemic to shine a light on our system's most vulnerable. And I believe the most vulnerable and our weakest link in our service system is the workforce, the direct support workforce. And I think COVID-19 has lifted the veil on a decades-long systemic failure to invest in our workforce. And we're seeing that. And we're seeing how DSPs are finally getting the recognition beyond the provider organizations and beyond the families and beyond siblings and beyond their supervisors. I think you're starting to see some praise from outside of our little bubble. And we need to take advantage of that, because we know through research and we know through more qualitative work that we've done that DSPs have been neglected for a really, really long time. So let's go back to spring, shall we? Let's think about where direct support professionals were. There was this, we use the word essential. Essential has a new meaning in COVID-19 times. Are you essential? Well, first responders are essential, and food workers and grocery stores are essential, and nurses are essential, and direct support professionals, are you essential or not? And we've known you've been essential for 45 years. We built the community living model on your backs. Of course you're essential. But the reality is only 18 states in this country identified direct support professionals as essential they don't know who you are or what you do. So essential, non-essential, you've been essential for 45 years. And you shouldn't have to receive a letter and carry a letter around with you when you're driving to work in case you get pulled over during the pandemic, where only essential workers are allowed to travel, like in March and early April in New York City. DSPs were actually bringing letters with them to prove that they're essential. That's disrespectful. Are you a healthcare worker or not a healthcare worker? Now this one requires a little bit of thought, so bear with me. You know, as I said, 45 years of community living, we have railed against the medical model. Direct support professionals are supporting citizens to receive support. 45 years ago, when people with disabilities were living in institutions or living in intermediate care facilities, you were supporting patients receiving treatment. There's a big difference between patients receiving treatment and citizens receiving support. So we've come a long way, and we've railed again. We're not healthcare workers. We provide a full spectrum of supports, healthcare and otherwise. But here's the thing. In a pandemic, you're healthcare workers. That's what you're focusing on. And I don't even have to get into the level of support that you're providing to help people stay healthy and safe during this insidious virus. So we're going to get past the community living model. We're going to kind of borrow, and when we think it's necessary, we're healthcare workers. Are you eligible for hazard pay? Or are you anonymous? And again, you know, registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, certified nursing assistants, a lot of people who are working on the front lines are eligible for hazard pay. But again, because you're anonymous, and I'm not going to get into the reasons why we're anonymous. Essentially, it's because we don't have a standardized occupational code that's recognized by the United States Department of Labor. There's still a lot of question about who you are and are you really eligible for hazard pay? And of course you are. Of course there should be no question about that. So you're not anonymous. And here we go. Heroes. We see, I drive by programs and residential settings with signs saying heroes work here. And I don't dispute that. But one of the things that we did early on is we started doing interviews, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit further later on. We've done interviews with dozens and dozens of direct support professionals, and not one of them referred to themselves as a hero. And we may refer to them as heroes. I've heard people say that you're saints, and there's angels among us. And if you heard Dave Hingsberger speak to that, who spoke yesterday, he's got a great line about that. DSPs are doing their jobs. And as I said, they had to redefine their jobs. They had to recreate their jobs. They had to work in the great unknown. It's like walking into a dark room. What are we going to do? Day programs are closed, and they made it happen. But the reality is there remains a lot of confusion about what a direct support professional does. I want to go back to the heroes, saints, and angels, because I don't want you to think that I'm disrespecting you. I have deep respect for direct support professionals, and I also respect people who refer to them as heroes, saints, and angels. But I think, as we often say when we work with direct support professionals, I think we need to dig deeper. I think we need to look into the language that we use, because language is so, so important. Heroes, saints, and angels. I'm going to refer you to an article that I recently read by a man named Mike Irvin. Mike Irvin, from what I can understand, is a man who receives supports, a man with disabilities. And he wrote an article in the Progressive magazine in March, in the heat of the pandemic. And I'm going to read this to you. He wrote, the canonization, and for you non-Catholics out there, canonization means from mortal to sainthood. The canonization of direct care workers is supposed to be high praise, but it's really a reflection of how profoundly their work is misunderstood and devalued. It is a deep disrespect, cleverly disguising itself as an equally deep respect. And it begins with the notion that helping disabled people execute their daily, bodily, domestic, and community functions is some of the dirtiest of dirty work. It is like ministering to the untouchables. That, my friends, is something for us to think about. We see a lot of memes like this, direct support professional because badass miracle worker isn't an official job title. Well, neither is direct support professional at this point. But I understand the good intentions behind this. But I think, as my friend and colleague and board member Chester Finn says very nicely here,
don't think about creating something for us if you didn't ask me. If you didn't ask me to be on the panel, I wouldn't be on the panel. You can sit here and think about what I wanted or my friends, what we needed, but that would be deciding for us. And the key is asking us what we want, what we need, and how we can work together to make it happen. What I think happens is people divide the DSPs and the self-advocates in the system is that we need each other, because I think neither one of us are respected enough to make things happen for us. So that's why we are connected, whether we want to realize it or not. That's what I try to tell my friends and self-advocates and the DSPs I know.
so for those of you who
don't think about.
For those of you who may not know Chester Finn, he is a longtime self-advocate and activist, and he happens to live in the same city that I do and has joined our board of directors. He was on a panel earlier this week, a panel that discussed the documentary film Invaluable. And I think that point that Chester was making is, if society values people with disabilities, they would also value direct support professionals, and they have to work together. And I think that there's an opportunity in the post-COVID world for people with disabilities, certainly direct support professionals and family members, to work together and to fulfill some of the promises that I think we have to make. In March, we at NADSP had to kind of think quick and act quickly about how can we support direct support professionals? How can we support the disability community during this pandemic? And there's a couple things that we did, three in particular. The first thing that we did, we worked with our friends at the University of Minnesota, Jerry Smith in particular, who is the filmmaker and the director and producer of Invaluable. And we said, Jerry, we want to interview direct support professionals. We want to get their stories in real time when emotions are high, and we want to archive these stories and collect these stories and use them for future policy work, for future change, and to get those DSP voices, because nobody can tell a story. Nobody should be telling a DSP story other than a direct support professional. Just like Chester would say, nobody should talk about me without me being in the room. I think DSPs need to share their stories, and we want to be the amplification of those stories. So over the course of a couple of months, I think we probably have done 50 or 60 interviews with DSPs, and they were compelling. They were raw, and a lot of them, I certainly do believe were heroic. We met Ken Reedy, who works in New York City, works for an organization in New York City. And Ken, actually, at the time before COVID struck New York City, and it struck New York City bad in early March, Ken was a trainer. He trained direct support professionals, but his organization asked him to start working side by side in some of their group homes and work with direct support professionals. And he told us in his interview that it renewed a real keen sense of the stresses that DSPs feel on a daily basis and what DSPs go through. And I want to share with you just a short snippet of what Ken told us.
We've gotten better, but there's so much farther we can go. And as a field, we need to not pat ourselves on the back for how far we've come since 1972, we need to look at 2020 and recognize how far we need to go. Now it's in our face that society doesn't recognize our field at all and doesn't recognize how essential DSPs are, which makes DSPs even more essential because they have to do this recognizing the intrinsic value of what they do for a living and not getting the credit and support from the general society. So I admire the hell out of everyone who's been displaced, who's gone to work in a different program, puts a smile on, gives people with disabilities the best care and life, and tries to put smiles on their faces while they're emotionally struggling. And I just admire the hell out of the DSPs right now for what they're doing. And that's what makes them essential. We've got.
So we also learned a lot from our interviews with direct support professionals, and firsthand they allowed us into their lives and into what was happening in the early days of the pandemic especially. And one of the things that I learned, and Karen Harvey on Tuesday, or was it Wednesday, Karen Harvey earlier this week talked about the trauma that DSPs were experiencing and the trauma that people with disabilities were experiencing as well. And it came out in our interviews. And these interviews are what we call qualitative work. The stress and the uncertainty of the work, even continuing today, supporting people who are highly susceptible to COVID-19 and putting themselves and their families at risk of contracting this virus. DSPs are working really long hours and required to sometimes even live for 2 weeks in their work setting because people with disabilities that they support have tested positive. And we continue to hold them to extremely high expectations. It's starting to take its toll. When I do these talks, I often use a rubber band only because I get some nervous energy out. But I like to use the rubber band as an analogy that our direct support professionals are like a rubber band, and the more we ask of them, the more we're stretching them. And eventually this rubber band is going to snap. And I think our direct support professionals are going to need our emotional support over time. And we need to allow time to heal, and DSP's time to heal from these very challenging events. And we need to be understanding of sometimes when DSPs feel stressed and short-tempered, and we need to give them some latitude because it's not been easy for our direct support professionals. And you don't need for me to tell you that, but we need to do more, and we need to be empathetic to them. The second thing that we worked on, again, with our friends at the University of Minnesota's Institute on Community Integration, is a formal survey of direct support professionals. And we wanted to do this quickly as well. We wanted to get DSPs to answer a few questions. And this was led by Dr. Hewitt, who created this really wonderful survey using several organizations to share these surveys with direct support professionals across the country. And through our social media, specifically Facebook, where we have about 21,000 DSPs and others who follow our Facebook page. I'm happy to report that more than 10,000 direct support professionals filled out this survey. And from what Amy tells me, and according to her recollection, it's probably the highest response of direct support professionals in any direct support professional study. And this study is different than most other studies about direct support professionals because, again, it was their voice, unfiltered voice. And typically when we learn about direct support professionals, we go to their employers or we go to their unions and we get information from them. This is the voices of direct support professionals. And I'm just going to share a little bit of data with you things that struck out to me is wages, and wages are always number one when we talk about the promises that we need to keep DSPs, to keep for DSPs. It's always wages and living wages. According to our survey results, about 74% of our DSPs tell us that they are their family's primary wage earners. 74% are their family's primary wage earners, and the median wage was $13.54 an hour. $13.54 an hour is not what heroes deserve. 76% of them tell us they were not getting paid more during COVID-19. Of those getting paid more, you could see about 45%, the majority of them was between $1 and $2 an hour. Wages need to be addressed. We need to make a promise about living wages. And by the way, when I get into the promises, it's not just NADSP's promises. I think it should be the promises of every employer, every state director, every funder, every insurance company to follow up on some of these promises that we need to make, these heroes and saints and angels. Schedule changes, and I was a direct support professional for a long time, and one of the most frustrating things was changes in schedules, especially when you have small children. And we knew that this was going to happen. DSPs were going to be asked to work more hours. Some DSPs who are working in day settings or day services are working less hours and filling shifts in residential settings and working with people in a different environment, in different settings. One of the things that we know about direct support workers is the quality of the work is directly correlated to the relationships that you build. When you have a DSP who knows the people that you support, I think you see better outcomes. And I think services are more fluid. When you have strangers supporting people with disabilities, especially during a pandemic, especially when you can't visit your mom and dad or your brother or your sister, especially when you can't go out to the diner for lunch, and you have strangers supporting people who don't understand their daily schedules changes, it's a recipe for disaster. So schedule changes are significant. Then the third thing is job separation. 42% of our direct support professionals know a direct support professional who left their job because of COVID-19. And why do they leave? Some tested positive for COVID themselves. 24% left because of their childcare issues. You know, when schools are closed, DSPs don't have the luxury of hiring a nanny or an au pair or a babysitter. A lot of them had to leave because of that. Some left, 33% of them left because of fear of becoming infected and infecting others. Some other examples because of that led to job separation was that their hours were cut. Strain on their own mental health. Caring for family members. Some of them were furloughed or laid off. Some, and I would say more than some, earned more money on unemployment. What does that tell you? And then state budget cuts, and state budgets are going to be a mess for a long time. The third thing is the new hires, and here's the thing about new hires. Boy, this is, well, we'll get into this in a second, but this is a big deal. Almost 22% of the people that we received responses from, 2,200 of them almost, said that they were new hires. And this is something that we're going to see and talk a lot more about. Of the new hires, about 27% of them didn't receive orientation or pre-service training. We were in crisis. They needed people. We put people in work settings. And I understand in a crisis, sometimes we have to. But that's dangerous, and we can't rely on doing that. But some good news, 28% of them received typical orientation, and 45% of these new employees reported not only getting typical orientation, but advanced training on safety and health, which is a really good thing. So the thing about new hires, our work, direct support work, has always been dependent on economic factors for workforce stability. And it seems kind of strange, but when we're in a really bad economic situation like we are today, 20 million Americans out of work, 2008, a lot of unemployment, bad economy. When there's a lot of people out of work, they come to our organizations for jobs. It's always been that way. And I think this is a unique opportunity for employers of direct support professionals to see the silver lining here and to hire wisely, because our future success is largely going to depend on being able to keep these workers when the economy improves, and it will improve. And we have to stop the cycle. We have to stop the revolving door. And one of the ways that we can do that is one of our promises. So the silver lining, a lot more people are going to be coming into this work. And I challenge you DSPs who are on this webinar today to welcome these new people with open arms, be kind to them, be gracious, be patient, welcome them, because we don't want to lose them. From the study that the University of Minnesota did, they came up with five unique recommendations for what our system needs in case of a second wave of this pandemic. The winter months could be difficult. And they came up with 5 quick recommendations specific to the world of COVID. States and the nation needs to have a comprehensive, organized, and funded response for additional waves. We have to invest money in disability services. We need to make sure that DSPs receive wage increases that are commensurate to their increased level of exposure, and provide them with higher hourly rates to pay them because they're working in dangerous situations. We need direct support professionals to have access to career ladders, better training on health and safety, and access to child care and support if schools or daycares close. So these are things that government has to do. These are things that other advocacy organizations really need to fight for, and fight for direct support professionals, because NADSP will be right there along the way. So I already talked about some of my recollection of the pandemic and reflection of the pandemic. A whole lot of praise during DSP week, and thank you, and I genuinely mean that. The praise seems overwhelming, but let's talk about the promises, because we need to keep some promises for direct support professionals. I think that, as I mentioned before, the veil has been lifted. What are we going to do about it? Let's stop talking about it. Let's not use this empty rhetoric and lip service about how important direct support professionals are. And let's do something about it. Let's make some promises, all of us together. First thing that NADSP promises to all of you direct support professionals, we promise to celebrate direct support professional every week. Because once again, you met a crisis head on with skill and dedication and grace. We promise to share your stories and your struggles and your achievements with others who might be able to do something about it. It's obvious during DSP week that you've earned our deepest respect. And it's true that the system would fold without you. We ask so much of you, and you always deliver. And the system was built on your backs. The system of community supports was built on your backs. And as Dave Hingsberger said yesterday, it's time for the system to ante up. It's time. Promise number 1. Promise number 2, we promise to work with our colleagues at the provider associations, the National Provider Association, specifically Anchor, we promise to work on securing your professional identity, to work to get you that standard occupational code. Even before COVID hit, the workforce issues were the highest priority for this service system. We knew how important it is, how important you were to this service system. So if you are the most important thing, if the workforce issues and the systemic issues that go along with the direct support workforce and the difficulty trying to find them and keep them, then establishing an occupational code should be our highest priority for you. Nothing that we can do will be as important as that, because you don't have that identity. Most people outside of our bubble do not know what direct support professionals do, but everybody knows what a nurse is. Everybody knows what a teacher is. Creating a professional identity will limit that confusion, will mitigate that confusion, and allow us to do a whole lot of things like collect good workforce data on how much you make, how fast you turn over, what are the vacancy rates that every other profession is able to do. So that's promise number 2. Promise number 3, we promise to work as hard as we can to create career ladders and career lattices for you. Career ladders that are embraced and funded by state and federal government. So, and I won't get in the weeds, so when organizations adopt a credentialing program, they will get more money from government, and they can pass that money on to DSPs who achieve certain levels of certification. So we can keep DSPs in the jobs that they're good at and not promote them out of jobs that they're good at, but pay them as much. That's what a career ladder is, a career lattice. We need to rely less in order to have these career ladders. When you have high-performing direct support professionals who are demonstrating a high level of skill, they don't need a supervisor standing over their shoulder telling them what to do. Supervisors are busy and they're overworked, and they can be spending more time with new people, helping them learn how to do the job, while highly skilled DSPs are doing their jobs and helping people achieve meaningful outcomes. We need to embrace a model of lifelong learning and professional development, and not seeing direct support as just a dead-end job. And the only way you can make more money is working 2 jobs, or working overtime, or getting promoted. No, let's keep good direct support professionals in jobs and pay them accordingly. Because what we know as a fact is when you have highly skilled direct support professionals, people that they support achieve better outcomes. That's worth investing in. I'm getting myself excited. We promise to expand the eBadge Academy, which is the career ladder model that we created at NADSP. It's a digital micro-credentialing program. And it's based on the knowledge that DSPs have, the skills that they have, and the values that they have. And you can create a digital portfolio of all of the badges that you earn and take them with you whenever you change jobs. Take those certifications with you whenever you change jobs. And you agency executives, you can hire with confidence. When people come to you with digital certifications from NADSP, you can be rest assured that those direct support professionals are highly skilled. That's why we need to create a profession. We promise to fight for social justice and against racism. Look at the demographics of direct support professionals in this field, and a majority of them are minorities. We were so lucky to meet Ryan Fenner earlier this year. Ryan Fenner is a Black direct support professional who works for New Horizons Resources in upstate New York. And after George Floyd died, she wrote a memo or an email to her agency's leadership, and her agency's leadership took it very seriously. We subsequently did a series of interviews with Ryan called Black DSPs Matter, and she raised so many exceptional points. We promise to help Black DSPs to make sure that is your company committed to changes in support of Black DSPs. We promise to give you the tools to speak up against racism in the workplace. We want to make sure that our field knows that this issue exists. We want to give Ryan a microphone and people like Ryan a microphone. And furthermore, we have to make sure that the people that we support understand racism and the dangers that happen if you're Black in many of our communities today. We promise you that. We promise to amplify direct support professionals' voices. We want to share your stories. We want to collect more of your stories. Contact us. We will set up a Zoom. We will interview you. We will record you, and we will share your stories that are unfiltered by your employers, your stories. And then they could be anonymous, by the way. We want to help you engage in policy discussions with not only your agency's leadership, but with government. They need to hear from you. There's 1.3 million of you out there. That's a voting block. That's a serious voting block. Oh, by the way, vote. We promise to provide easy access to NADSP events, NADSP news, sharing issues that are important to DSPs via social media and news blasts. Join our membership. Be part of this movement. Don't expect other people to fight this movement for you. We will help you engage with a newly seated NADSP, a Direct Support Professional Advisory Council. It was a rigorous process to select, I think we have 12 DSPs from across the country and Canada who are your voices. And we want them to interact and engage with you and bring your issues up to our board of directors so we can do something about it. And we promise to listen to you carefully and give you that megaphone because it's up to you. Whew. Stay in touch with us. Be part of our movement. Share this information with others and engage, because DSP Week doesn't end Saturday night at midnight. DSP Week is 12 months a year, 52 weeks a year, 365 days a year. Follow us on social media. Be part of this organization. I want to we've got so many people to thank. One of the things that is nice about working for NADSP is that there's just so much goodwill towards our mission and what we're trying to do. All of these organizations have invested in direct support professionals. The raffles that we've been giving away are through these contributions, and all of these, I can't thank these organizations enough. And by the way, I've got 2 raffles to give away, but I'm going to wait until the very, very end. But I would like to thank these wonderful organizations. Our sessions with Karen Harvey and Dave Hingsberger and CQL and the invaluable panel discussion, which was spectacular, by the way. The invaluable movie is available until Saturday night on our Facebook page. Last time I looked, about 7,000 people saw the invaluable movie. Share it. We thank Direct Course and Anthem and the New England Cerebral Palsy Virtual Conference, our friends at SPIN, Anchor, AAIDD, of course, the Council on Quality and Leadership, Welcome House, CUNY, where John F. Kennedy Jr., our founder, spent many years working with on the John F. Kennedy Jr. Foundation, IARF, and the Mentor Network. I'd like to thank all of those organizations. we couldn't not have done this without it. We wouldn't be here without the University of Minnesota's support. Dr. Hewitt and her staff have been so helpful to NADSP since the very, very beginning. But this week especially, they've been incredible in helping us understand the Zoom, and they're our partners, and we're proud of that partnership. So thank you very much. And lastly, I just need to thank the incredible team here at NADSP, specifically Nicole Dama, she is an inspiration and makes us all look so much better than we really are. She puts all of this together. John Raphael, who worked on the content and bringing the speakers together, and Dan Hermrich, and of course Desiree Lauxbear, who's such a great, she's done so many great introductions. So the NADSP team, man, you need a day off. I know I'm going to forget somebody, but one of the things, as I mentioned, the friendships and the goodwill towards NADSP, every Friday afternoon since the third week in March, we've released a very short video from friends. These videos are what we called words of encouragement. And the friends that we have, I mean, talk about rising to the occasion and standing up for DSPs. We had not missed a Friday. And sometimes they were funny, and sometimes they were, well, they were always sincere. Sometimes they were introspective. I recall Dr. Beth Mounts was, she lives in New York City, and it was during the throes of the pandemic and was very emotional. Well, we created a montage. Actually, Jerry Smith created a montage, and I want to share this with you. It's only about 8 minutes long, but it's our way to thank DSPs. And after I show this video, I'm going to come back live, and we're going to give 2 raffles away.
Humans are just remarkable in their capacity to care for one another in really trying and tough times. It's part of what makes us so remarkable.
You know what's going to save humanity is that it's going to be not millions of dollars, but millions of people and their small acts of compassion. That's what saves humanity.
We know what you know, and what NADSP reminds us frequently, that quality begins with the work that you do each and every day. So that's why when John Raphael and NADSP asked me to share a few words of encouragement with you, I jumped at the opportunity to personally thank you for your commitment to your profession, your commitment to the individuals you support, and your commitment to doing your part to making us all better, making this nation of ours a stronger, more inclusive society where everyone is seen, valued, and included.
What you do out there each day is valuable. It's valuable to people who work in the field, but it's really valuable to the people that you support. Your teachers, your educators, your friends. You love them, and they love you. You're valued. You're highly valued. Keep doing what you do each day.
What the Everyday Heroes wanted people to know and see by making this piece of art is that they know, even if other people don't know, they know that they are teachers and healers and guides. They are the hands that lift people up and that hold lives together.
We're giving essential life services so that people with disabilities can not only survive but thrive as human beings.
My thanks to all of you for the work that you're doing, okay? Whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in Mexico, whether you are in Europe, whether you're in Asia, wherever you might be, all right? We want to thank you for the incredible work that you're doing, the amazing work that you're doing, and thank you for keeping all the people that you support in a safe and positive environment.
Hello, DSPs. Ronnie Polineski here from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Just checking in to say hello, to say I hope you're feeling safe, and that I so appreciate what it is that you do and what you're doing for people who are always so vulnerable, but especially so today when we're going through this virus. I met some of you about a year and a half ago at your annual conference, and you guys are rock stars, and I just want to say that again. It was so great to meet you, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're safe.
I want to remember us well. I want to remember what we did well. And I can tell you this, there are nurses at the hospital here in Newmarket who I know when they look back at their care, and should they remember me, they'll remember me and remember that they provided service that made me honor them, and they became full persons just through their eyes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a direct support professional. Thank you for continuing to support people with disabilities every day.
My message to all is to recognize your direct support professionals, be proud of what they do, and know that they're what keeps us safe, happy, and healthy.
Good. And you, as a DSP, are the bridge for that, right? You create this passage to community. And therein, I think, lies the key to the work that we do in human services, right?
I just want to really thank you for everything you've done, everything you continue to do. I'm talking about, this is about the STEP experience, but I know this is a national experience that each one of you have stood up and shown up. So thank you for being you. Let's continue on, and let's pray that 2020 is over and 2021 brings some new experiences, and that we can look back at 2020 and said, wow, we survived that. We survived that because we stood together. Thank you. I appreciate you.
They support people with disabilities, a vulnerable population, and they need to be thanked. And God damn it, that's what I'm doing right now. I thank you.
Thank you, each and every one of you direct support professionals, for the work that you do, for the future that you give my daughter, and for the life that you allow for her to possibly have.
Really, the only encouraging message I can send to DSPs is that the only way out of anything we face in this nation is through community and connection. And Pando tree is actually, if you see a forest of Pando trees, it's actually one organism, one network of root systems connected, interconnected. And that's a good sort of metaphor for human beings.
This has been an incredibly disruptive period, lots of dislocation, but you guys, the direct support professionals, have been the one constant in the lives of people who you support. I know over the next several weeks, we'll continue to hear stories, individual stories, about ways in which you've sought to create solutions to problems you never thought you'd encounter. The relationships that have been built during this period of time, and your commitment, ongoing commitment to the individuals who you support.
You are inspiring, not because you work with people with disabilities, but because you work hard, you problem solve, you care. Don't stop.
So I want to thank you. I just want to thank you and send you a big hug. And thank you for being the moving force, the soul of the work. And oh, one more thing, don't forget to vote. Vote as if your life depends on it, because it does.
I feel that I'm relating more to my wise advocate in my mind, and also learning how the wise advocate in my mind can be my guide and help me discover my hope and preserve my hope so that I can be stronger and grow as a person, and also help my clients become stronger and more resilient in this journey.
When you're away from work, when you're out shopping, when you're out with friends, when you're in your home community, please wear your masks. Thank you. Enjoy for everything you do. Be well. Bye. So there you have it. That's thanks to our friends. When we asked, they delivered. So to wrap this up, we got two $100 gift cards. Thanks to Family Residences and Essential Enterprises, free, an organization in Long Island, New York, who also won our Moving Mountains Award this week, and the Mentor Network, each contributed $100. So our first winner is, John? Becky Brown from Welcome House in Cleveland, Ohio. Congratulations, Becky Brown. And the second winner of a $100 gift card is Spinner Ondieki. Spinner Ondieki from Spin Inc., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Congratulations to Becky and Spinner. So with that, it wraps up DSP Week 2020. What a week it was. What a year it's been. And I wish you well. Stay healthy, stay safe. And most importantly, please be kind to each other. Thanks, everybody.